ask my colleague Lisa to also welcome as well. Lisa? I think Lisa might have froze. Lisa,
Great
are you there?
to be here today.
Your signal's breaking up.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll come back to Lisa after we get a stronger signal. Okay. Let's go to the next slide. Once again, we do have closed captions in English and in Spanish. English closed captions are available within Zoom and YouTube. Users can follow this link to view both English and Spanish captions in a separate browser window. https://ibr.news/captions. Next slide, please. Just a reminder of our participation tips. First of all, thank you all for joining us today on this gloomy fall day. But this conversation will prove to be a bright spot during the afternoon. Please join audio by either phone or computer, not both. We encourage panelists to turn on your video. Please also keep your audio on mute when not speaking. If you experience technical difficulties, please contact program staff at 360-329-6744. Next slide, please. A reminder as to how to access the closed captions at the bottom middle of your screen. You should see a menu of options. If you can't see the menu, hover your mouse over the bottom middle of the screen. Click the square CC icon towards the right side of the menu, toggle captions on. Click the set menu arrow to access more settings, including language, font color, and font size. Next slide, please. In an effort to continue this interactivity, there is an ASL interpreter in addition to closed captioning. To make sure the interpreter is always visible, please right-click their video and select Spotlight Video. For those watching on YouTube, when we screen share, you will be able to see the slideshow, closed captioning, and the ASL interpreter. You will still be able to hear different people speaking, but may not see them. Next slide. Just a reminder relative to our public input, there will be an opportunity to provide brief public input later in the meeting today, roughly around 5:45. Verbal public comment will be welcome in the Zoom webinar during the designated time, with the option to turn on your web camera. Please use a link located in the meeting description on the YouTube meeting page or on the IVR CAG meeting webpage. Commenters will not be allowed to share their screens and will be removed from the room once the public comment period concludes. To comment by phone, please dial 669-900-6833 or 408-638-0968. You'll want to remember to enter meeting ID number 993-5459-6043 and the passcode, which is 674942. Please remember to dial *9 to raise your hand. After you are invited to speak, dial *6 to unmute yourself. Next slide, please. Just an overview of today's meeting. We'll have introductions here in just a bit. We'll receive a program update. We'll then have an opportunity of looking at what's being called Tranche 2 of the Community Benefits Advisory Group's recommendations. We'll then receive an update on the draft supplemental environmental impact statement. We'll receive public comment and then close. Next slide. Just a reminder of our operating norms for us to remember to put relationships first, to keep focus on our common goal, to always notice the power dynamics in the room, to create a space for multiple truths and norms, to be kind and brave, to be practicing examining racially biased systems and processes, and for us to always be looking to learn. Next slide, please. And I see Lisa's back on now. So Lisa, I'd love to open it up for a welcome from you as well.
Thank you, Johnell. Excited to be in the space with everyone. Sorry about the internet issue, and expect it'll be solid moving forward. So great to see everyone.
Great, thank you, Lisa. And with that, Mr. Ed Washington, we'll turn it over to you for opening and to open it up for our CAG members.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. First, I just want to let you know that Lynn Valenter will not be joining us today, but we wish her well wherever she is, and I'd like to welcome all of you. I don't know what it's like where you're living, but it was a little bit wet over here. And I would like for us to start by, would like to have every CAG member that's with us today, please share your name, your organizational affiliation, at-large status, and your pronouns. And after that, we will move to the program updates with Greg Johnson. So I'm not looking, I don't see any pictures on my screen. So there we are. Whoever would like to go first, just start and then just pass it on to the next person. And the very last person, just pass it back to me and I will move us to the next step. Okay.
All right. So I'll start. Sam Kim, used to be a super commuter. Now I'm super duper commuter from Grace Harbor County. I like to, and my pronouns are he, him. I like to pass it on to Irina.
Hey, Irina Phillips, East European Coalition, and pronouns are she, her. And I live in Northeast Portland. Do not commute and do not use the bridge often. And I pick Dana.
Hi, I'm Dina Horton from Pacific Northwest Waterways Association, Deputy Director, representing river users and multimodal freight. She, her pronouns, and I apologize, I appear to have picked up the plague. So I will have trouble speaking today, but I will try my best.
You can just pass it on to somebody else, Dina.
Yeah, I will pass it on to Jarina.
Yeah, go ahead, Jarina.
Sorry, it took me a moment to find my mouse, despite it being neon pink. I'm Jarina Hatch, she, her pronouns. I am with Community in Motion, and I'm a mobility manager. So I'm going to pass it on to Julie.
Hi, so I'm Julie. I am a member in the neighborhood, the Northeast Portland neighborhood. I used to be in the North Portland neighborhood. I do not do a normal commute over the bridge, but I do a normal commute south after the bridge. So I'm definitely kind of in the project area, but on kind of the Oregon side. And I use she, her pronouns. And I will pass it on to, oh, let's see. Trying to figure out who still has their hand up. How about Jana?
Thank you. Jana Jarvis, representing the Oregon Trucking Association. Obviously, there's a tremendous amount of freight that moves over the I-5 bridge. So here representing those freight interests, and glad to be a part of it today. And I don't see any other hands up, so I don't know if we've introduced everybody that needs to be introduced. So
I think there are some people who have not spoken. If there's anyone who has not spoken, had any words, could you let me know? Then I guess it comes back to me. I'm Ed Washington, co-chair. It's a pleasure being here. I have been extremely busy, I'm sure, as all of you have been. And as I was telling a few of the people earlier, with all the things that are going on at Portland State where I work, that keeps me super busy. But I would just like to take a moment to thank all of you for all that you do on behalf of this committee, on behalf of this region, and on behalf of your respective state or states, and look forward to, as we're moving pretty quickly. It's hard to believe that we've been meeting the amount of time that we have been. But just want to say that we really, truly appreciate your efforts, and just stick with us. We will get the bridge built. So I guess, do I send it back to Lisa?
Yeah, I think next we're going to go to Greg Johnson for the program update.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Greg.
And Ed, you were right. It has been a long journey. It was just about 4 years ago, we started contacting folks to sit on the community advisory group. So come January, we will have been meeting for 4 years. And that's a lot of time out of folks' life. So we do appreciate you tremendously.
Wow.
So let's go to the next slide. So the program has been tremendously busy during this public comment period. As most of you know, we are coming towards the end of the public comment period. It ends on next Monday at midnight. So tell your friends, tell your neighbors to comment on the draft supplemental document. And we also have the Section 106 public comment period. And Section 106 is about cultural, archaeological, historical resources that fall within the program area. So that document is out and it's on our website. You can find it at Interstate Bridge/cultural resources, and make sure that if you have an interest in those issues, to please comment, because it closes on the same day, same time, November 18th at midnight. So we have hosted 2 live virtual public hearing, or 2 live public hearings, open houses. We also had 2 virtual public hearings that wrapped up a couple weeks ago, October 26th and October 30th. So we have had some good attendance. For instance, when we were in Vancouver, we had over 120 folks. 2 days later, we did the open house public hearing at the Expo Center. We had a little bit over 60, between 60 and 70 folks. But once again, the conversations were robust, and folks were very interested in what the program is seeking to achieve. So we still are doing tabling events out in the community, and we will continue beyond this public comment period. So if there are events that you want IBR to show up at and have a tabling event, we will show up, and we will do presentations. So let's go to the next slide, which shows some of the presentations. No, it doesn't show some of the presentations, but we have done a ton of presentations. Our latest, we hosted members from the Metro Council. We were supposed to have 2 of the counselors, but one took ill at the last minute. So we took them on a program tour, which was tremendously informative and successful. So we are still working and making sure that people know what this program is about. So once again, how do you access the draft SEIS if you haven't already? We have it in person. You can find hard copies at the IBR office and Vancouver City Hall, Vancouver Community Library. Also, you can find hard copies at the Charles Jordan Community Center in Portland, as well as the Portland building in downtown. So all of those venues are ADA, meet ADA standards. We have an online search function if you are looking just for a specific topic, or we have an executive summary that is interpreted into multiple languages. So if there are questions or concerns about language access, we will make sure that folks understand and can find the summary in the language that they speak. So once again, you can access the document on our website at interstatebridge.org, draft SEIS, or you can come into IBR office hours and sit in person, and we will take your statement and make it a part of the public record. So next slide, please. So once again, you can comment by submitting a web-based form. You can email us. You can send a comment through regular mail, although it's getting a little late for regular mail. Or you can call our office at 866-IBR-SEIS, which is 427-7347, and leave a message, and we will transcribe it and make it a part of the public record. So your comments can be provided in your native language if English is not your primary language. But we are still waiting and hoping for folks to comment. Right now, we have approximately 1,700 comments that have come in, and our team is combing through those, categorizing them, and starting to formulate answers to a number of those comments. So next slide, please. So once again, we want to hear from you. It's not too late. So you can give us the feedback that will help shape what the program looks like. It will help us refine our designs and analysis for the final supplemental document that will hopefully be coming out about this time next year. Once again, if you go on social media and you put out a long rant on social media, that does not count as a public comment. You must go through the formal channels to formally comment on the program. So these, the rest of these instructions, if you have video attachments, they must be transcribed and submitted via the draft supplemental voicemail entry into that's on our website. So once again, it's not too late. If you know folks who haven't commented, we'd like to hear from them. So I think that's my last slide, but I do want to take a moment, you know, with the election last week, I've heard some concerns about what the program is going to look like under a new administration. Once again, what I've been telling folks is that this program has merits that override politics. This is for the economic well-being of two communities, two states, as well as the West Coast. So this has national implications if this bridge project does not move forward. So we think we have a great story to tell to any administration. So we are looking forward to when they name the transportation secretary to start having conversations about the needs of this program and how we move it forward. So with that said, I'll take any questions or concerns that that the CAG may have.
Yes, I see Jana.
Thank you. Thank you, Greg. I just want to clarify something, if I may. Your initial slide said that comments are due for that section 106. Are the comments for the SEIS in general, the draft SEIS, are due on next Monday as well?
Yes, both are due Monday the 18th at midnight.
Okay, all right. Thank you. That's helpful. Appreciate it.
other questions, comments for Greg? Okay, seeing none.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Okay, if we can get the slides back up, please. Okay, and this section, if you could go back to the prior slide, just to set the framing up here. Okay, this Emily was going to be here today. She did have a conflict, so I'll be covering this section. This is an opportunity for CAG to hear an update on the community benefits recommendations relative to mobility and accessibility category. So I'll go through a few slides and then we'll open it up for your comments. Next slide, please. So as a reminder as to how the Community Benefits Advisory Group, how they have been offering recommendations to the program is follow the arc of the program's equity objectives. You'll recall that the Equity Advisory Group helped develop 6 equity objectives. CAG had an opportunity of weighing in on those. The program has adopted them. One of the equity objectives is mobility and accessibility, which is to improve mobility, accessibility, and connectivity, especially for lower income travelers, people with disabilities, and historically underserved communities who experience transportation barriers. So the CBAG, they were asked to offer up potential community benefits under that umbrella. Next slide, please. So some of the recommendations that were made under this category was for the program to conduct a comparative analysis of program areas to optimize traffic flow and accessibility, for the design team to consider providing adequate shelter for all weather conditions at transit stations, including rain, wind, and heat. Special considerations should be made for the unique needs of the elevated transit station. Consider safety when determining locations for public restrooms near transit stations. For the design team to consider incorporation of drought-resistant naturalized landscaping at public transit locations. Next slide. Additional recommendations offered by the CBAG was for the program to consider maintenance, safety, active management, and future-proofing and the design aspects of the multi-use paths throughout the program area, to develop robust trail systems that surpass federal requirements, leveraging creative solutions to increase functionality and community value, and responsive to the community's needs and inputs, to incorporate innovative solutions to exceed ADA requirements, enhancing accessibility and mobility thoughtfully. To expand the bridge's bike and pedestrian paths and install barriers to separate them from vehicular traffic, enhancing both safety and noise reduction. Next slide. And so the CBAG met just this morning where they offered these up to the program. And as will be the case with each of their components of work, we want to bring it back to CAG for you to weigh in as well. And the discussion question is, are these recommendations in line with the CAG community values from your perspective? And with that, we'll open it up for thoughts and questions. Sam.
Yeah, these are very good, I guess, requirements or desires and wants and so forth. I agree with them. I think they're in line. One thing I would add is that I would go running or jogging along roads. And the thing I noticed is that I was coughing and hacking because of the exhaust. So I don't know if more hybrids and electric vehicles and other emission-free or less reduced emission-free vehicles could somehow be encouraged, or if there could be, if there is a emission-free vehicle lane that could be closer to where I'd be running, and the ones that are belching smoke, maybe they could be more in the middle lanes or something. I'm not sure. It's probably my wishful thinking that, I shouldn't be running on the road and running by the road anyway. But for all these pedestrians and others that are not in a protected environment where they can filter the air out and circulate just inside air and so forth, it seems like it could be yet another community benefit if we can somehow achieve that. But it's a wishful thinking.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Greg, I don't know if you have a reaction.
So I do, and Sam, I think I've told this group that I've walked across the bridge 44 times and rode my bike across it only once. And you're absolutely right. When you are that close to traffic, you especially when I was riding my bike in the uphill slope, you start sucking wind and you're sucking in exhaust fumes, and it is not comfortable. So we will have separation from the active traffic lanes with shoulders. So there will be some separation. The SEIS does show that there will be a drop in a sub-regional area of greenhouse gas emitted in this sub area that reaches from 205 down to central Portland. So hopefully we show that the fleet is changing to more to fewer carbon or fossil fuel burning vehicles. So hopefully your desire and our desire will be met with folks using cleaner vehicles and making that trip across the bridge more pleasant. But you will have more space between the vehicle lanes and where the active transportation will be.
Thank you, Greg. Really appreciate it.
Other thoughts, comments? In the 4 years I've been working with this group, this is the quietest. I'm thinking it's the weather. Okay, hearing or seeing none. And again, we'll continue to bring forth CBAG's perspective as we move forward. Ed Washington. You're muted.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. I'm just curious, and I hope nobody will laugh at me, but I'm going to give this to Sam and Greg. When you speak of running and in traffic, and you're sucking up the stuff, are there any kind of masks? And just don't laugh at me, folks. Are there any kind of masks that people could wear while they're running across that bridge, or is that just not possible?
Yes, Sam.
So maybe I'll go first.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious too now, so please tell us.
Well, since COVID, right, I've gotten really used to wearing masks. But when you're huffing and puffing, as Greg said, when you're going uphill, the last thing you want is something blocking any kind of ability to breathe. So I tried the 3M's N95 breathe mask that allows you to exhale, but you still have to suck. So that is actually helpful. So yes, it does work, but I'd rather not wear it if I don't have to, because I'm still out of breath, and masks really don't help.
You're not supposed to laugh at me. You got a little smile on your face there. I had a feeling that the answer is, what are you talking about? But I figure I should put it out there. So
that's a great question.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Here's an opportunity for somebody to get rich if they can come up with a mask that people could wear. But okay, well, thank you very much.
Great, thank you. Okay, if there are no other questions, we will now invite Assistant Program Administrator Ray Mabey to review our Draft supplemental environmental impact statement. Update on the navigation findings. So, Ray?
Yeah, hi, Johnell. Hello, everyone. Ray Mabey, Assistant
Ray.
Administrator. And I'm glad you clarified, Johnell, that I'm not reviewing all the findings in the draft because we would be here till the wee hours of next week, probably. So yeah, I'm here to talk about some very specific findings around navigation. I think I just got a couple of slides to go through. So maybe if we could jump to the next slide, please. Great. So one of the areas that the draft studies is the impacts on navigation of the replacement bridge. And we see, you know, benefits, impacts, and some neutral changes that we've noted here. The replacement bridge planned has spans that are 400 feet long. And so that reduces the number of in-water piers that we see from the current bridge today. So that'd be a benefit. And those longer spans increase the horizontal clearance for vessels as they transit the river. And so that's also a benefit. They have less impediments in the way and wider spans to go underneath the bridge. One of the things that we're doing and studying, because the crest of the bridge is aligned with either the now aligned with a proposed primary channel for vessels, as well as a potential lift span. And I'll talk about that in the next slide. By switching the locations of the primary channel and navigation channel, there are benefits to the barge channel. There are benefits to the barge channel that I'll explain in the next slide. It's a better alignment between the interstate bridge and the Burlington Northern. However, and it reduces the number of directional changes between those bridges. So we switch the locations and it changes those, reduces those number of changes. And I'll explain that again in the next slide. And because a replacement bridge would be up to seismic standards and built to withstand Cascadia subduction zone earthquake, that would be a benefit because today's bridge definitely wouldn't be able to. And if it collapsed in that type of an earthquake, that would be an impediment to river navigation. So by replacing it, that's a benefit. Some of the impacts we noted were that with that modification of the navigation channels for the primary channel, it reduces the available distance to align with the openings between the interstate bridge and the Burlington Northern Santa Fe Bridge. And I'll show that in the next chart as well. And then with the fixed span option that we're setting, remember we're setting a fixed span as well as a movable span. The fixed span would reduce the vertical clearance to 116 feet, and that would also be an impact. There are a couple of neutral changes that we've identified. Just to the west of the interstate bridge is a turning basin for vessels of deep draft. And so as the new bridges are just west, that turning basin is expanded just to the west as well to make sure that it retains its same dimensions. And so that'd be a neutral change. And then the movable span option that I mentioned would provide the same vertical clearances we have today in the open position of 178 feet. Again, that's just no change, so neutral. Next slide, please. Maybe we don't know. Yeah, I think I do. So this chart is quite busy, so I'll walk through it a bit. It actually shows the profile of the double deck bridge option, the single level fixed span bridge option, as well as a single level movable span option. And just to point out that the The double deck fixed and the single level fixed both provide vertical clearances of 116 feet. It just means that the roadway surface is a bit higher. So if you look at that top line that's solid, that would be the level of traffic on the double deck fixed span. The next line down that you see kind of a dashed line over a solid, and this is not to scale, but they're generally in the same location. On the double deck fixed span, that would represent the lower level surface that would be carrying transit and bikes and peds. When we consider the single level fixed span, that generally aligns, but it's not exactly the same level as the lower level of the double deck fixed span. And that would be the level of all modes, not only vehicular traffic, but also light rail, as well as bikes and pedestrians. And again, each of those options provides 116 feet of vertical clearance. The next line down from there is kind of a dashed line with circles, it looks like to me. And that shows the profile of the single level movable span option. And that provides somewhere between 90 and 100 feet. There's refinement needed. But in the document, we're providing 90 to 100 feet of vertical clearance in the closed position. That way it's high enough to minimize the number of lifts, but would still be able to lift to the 178 feet that the movable span does today. Next slide, please. Oh, maybe not. No, if you go back one, sorry. If you look at the span that shows 116 feet, and that generally aligns with the crest of each of the bridge options, that is the primary channel, and you can see that noted there below. And then this is a view looking west. So to your right would be north, and that would be the north barge channel. And then just to the south of the primary channel is the south barge channel. And we'll look at those in the next slide. Next slide, please. Great. So we've got two charts here of the existing navigation channels on the top and the proposed on the bottom. In each of these, we're looking down at the bridge from above to the top of the pages to the north, bottom south, and then west is to our left, east is to our right. And you can see that the primary channel existing, the primary channel hugs the bank of the river on the Washington side, and that's where the lift span is on the existing bridge. But the barge channel that many of the grain barges take is the next channel kind of sandwiched between the primary and alternate. And that's where that S curve comes in, with the barges having to hit that span and then turn back in to hit the BNSF swing span to be able to transit further downriver. In the proposed navigation channels just below, you'll see that the primary channel is generally, but not quite exactly, switched with the barge channel, the existing barge channel. So it's moved to the south to align with the crest of each of the bridge options, so that when it's on a fixed span, it provides a maximum clearance of 116 feet, or if it's a movable span, up to 178. And then the north barge channel would be the location of the barge channel, providing much more of a straight shot from along the bank to the BNSF railroad swing span, eliminating that swing, or minimizing as much, or nearly eliminating that S curve. And then there's a south barge channel as another alternate option. And so these are being proposed as a navigation channel adjustment through the Army Corps of Engineers. And I think that are the slides that I had on my scheduled to show tonight, but or this afternoon. Wondered if there's any questions on those.
Dina.
Yeah, I think we talked about some of the concerns at the freight forum, but just for the folks' benefit, if you go back to the slide that shows all the different versions of the bridge that are, current versus the proposed bridges, it doesn't show where the existing bridge piers are. And so there's a concern during the 8 or so years of construction, how the ships are going to squeeze through if there's piers sort of blocking the channel paths. And so I did note that when you were listing impacts to navigation, that construction of it was not listed as a potential impact. And it's a huge impact for quite a few years, and trying to figure out how to continue, 50 million metric tons of cargo that's running under the bridge, worth $31 billion annually, making sure that that is still able to function and continue. So we'd be very interested in seeing what the plans are for, kind of superimposing where the current bridge piers are and figuring out how that's actually going to work. That would be one piece. And then again, looking at the water levels, it fluctuates daily, and ensuring that we have the ability to, truly know what that clearance level is going to be, no matter whether it's atmospheric rivers or water coming down from Canada related to the flood control agreement with the treaty, and just really understanding, potential, climate change impacts and so forth, that we really do have that clearance assurance to be able to, move forward with existing and future river freight movement.
Oh, thanks, Dina. No, thanks for those are the same comments you made in the freight meeting. So thanks for that. And yes, one, I think, as we do see this, we've got 4 more days, I think, on commenting, opportunities to comment. So definitely encourage everyone to comment if you haven't already. And
I didn't know exactly what your time frame was for construction of I know you guys talked about potentially having the on-ramps and the traffic pieces that lead up to the bridge starting in 2025, but I didn't know what time frame you were looking at for the actual construction portion over the river, and wondering how you're going to time that with the Cascade renewable transmission line that is also being proposed to literally be developed in the navigation channel. And so that's also a major potential disruptor of freight movement. And so having both the channel blocked and the bridge blocked would be really, really difficult to keep moving stuff forward.
Yeah, so we when we picked up this endeavor again, I like to joke that we asked the director and secretary that if we could shut down that I-5, it'd be a lot easier to build. If we shut down river traffic, it'd be a lot easier to build. Nobody's going to let us do that. So we've got to maintain, not only definitely maintain traffic on the road, the traffic going on the bridge, but we also have to maintain traffic under the bridge. And not only is the Army Corps concerned with that, but the Coast Guard as well. And part of the Coast Guard permit process is understanding that maintenance of traffic under the bridge. As you mentioned, the slides don't show the existing piers, and they do not line up with the new piers. As a contractor gets on board to start to work on this, we anticipate them to work from the South Bank north. And that leaves, as they do that and they work towards the north, that leaves the lift span open the longest term during construction, and allows the contractor to build, put in temporary works, whether it's cofferdams and work platforms or work bridge, and then deconstruct those as they work forward. And so that kind of a little game of
Like leapfrog.
river traffic Frogger might consider, because we think about how to make sure that we have options for river traffic to make sure they can transit the bridge is a very coordinated effort with every stage with the Coast Guard. So it's pretty intensive coordination, sometimes daily, that we'll be going through. So
What's the
maintenance
timeline
traffic
again?
through that period is key. What's the timeline?
Yeah, timeline for the construction of the bridge pieces.
Well, we won't have that until we have a contractor on board that tells us what their plan is. We anticipate that the construction of the bridge could take 5 to 6 years. And then how that specifically, when they achieve different milestones moving to the north, will be dependent on their construction schedule.
Okay.
But we'll have requirements in the contract to make sure that we're following the plans that have been approved by the Coast Guard to maintain river traffic. And then I think the thing you noted about the river levels and the coordination with the potential outcome of the treaty, as well is on the forefront. And then we have met with the power line company, I can't remember their name, to make sure that we're coordinating with their work and seeing where they're at. So tried our best to stay in tune with all the moving parts.
A lot of balls to juggle. Thank you so much.
Yeah, sure.
Sam.
Hey, Ray, thanks so much. I love this. So when I was officer of the deck in the U.S. Navy, we would have navigational markers, buoys, whatever, so that you're lined up appropriately in the channel and so forth. So how, and then for a complex river traffic like this, where you got primary and barge channel and alternate barge channels, and there's just all sorts of traffic crossing and going back and forth, we would typically take on a pilot to help us navigate the local waters there. And I just heard a term that was used that I never heard before when I was in the Navy, which is a river traffic frogger. What is that?
Well, that's a real technical term that I threw out there. No, it's just thinking about making your way through the river under the bridge and figuring out the right channel to go through, and making sure that we've got it's more about our maintenance of traffic as we move through, have vessels move through, so they know what they can do, where they need to go, which channel. But during those conditions, if they are horizontal clearance is constrained, and if the vessels think there is a safety issue, one thing that we would be doing is providing assist tugs and tows to make sure that they make that through the bridge area safely.
And maybe even supply a pilot if needed.
Well, they'd be providing the assist with this. So yeah, but it's critical that they're able to move through the site safely, and not only for the vessels, but for the construction workers on the job at the time they're moving through.
Thank you, Ray.
Yeah.
Tina, did you have another comment?
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's great having ship assist tugs. A lot of those folks do very, very fantastic, safe, professional work. But if the bridge isn't tall enough, the ship's not getting under it, no matter which tugs you put with it. So that's the piece that we really need to make sure. Sam, just FYI, there's a lot of folks that are pushing for air gap sensors so that ships can actually tell how much distance they have between the bottom of the bridge and the top part of their ship. So pilots typically like to have around 10 feet of clearance. They can do it with 5, but they tend to like 10 as a more safe measure. Getting under the Lewis and Clark Bridge can often be much more dicey than that. And so we really appreciate the steps that folks are taking to make sure this is tall enough for safe clearance.
Yeah, I never had that air gap sensor. I wish I had that in the Navy. Thank you.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Understanding the height of your vessel, or the load on your vessel to understand. And then the river level is really key towards moving safely under a bridge that may be vertically constrained or approaching the limit of your vessel. And so we don't see much of that now, but I think that's a good development for the river navigation.
Other questions, comments for Ray? Okay, thank you, Ray. Terrific
Thank you.
update. Next up, we'll invite Hannah Williams to provide an update on the draft SEIS community engagement.
Great, thanks so much, Johnell. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I'm going to give a little update. We've been pretty busy since the last time we met. Can I get the next slide, please? You know, our comment period is ending on the 18th. So we have been out and about making sure that people know about where to find the document, the ways that you can comment, and being able to ask their questions. So we've been doing virtual briefings. This was a great space where we went over kind of similar to what Ray just did on navigation, but we did a snapshot of all the findings. We had technical experts that were there, and we're really able to go through it slowly and stayed around to answer everybody's questions. So we did 2 of those in October. We also had in-person opportunities to look at the information in person, printed out on boards. Also, again, with technical experts that were right there, so that you had an opportunity to kind of ask your questions, play around with the material a little bit. And then, of course, there was also that opportunity to provide public testimony with that public hearing in person. We had 2 of those, as Greg mentioned, one in Vancouver, one in Portland. And then we had more virtual opportunities to provide that public testimony. So we had 2 virtual public hearings also in October. Great. May I get the next slide, please? Thank you. Thank you. So as Greg mentioned, we have been really busy out and about, many presentations. I'll just highlight for folks who can't see this, I'll read through them. So we were over at the League of Oregon Cities and Association of Oregon Counties, the Governor's Marketplace, City of Portland Historic Landmarks Commission, Columbia River Economic Development Council, City of Vancouver Transportation and Mobility, Ag Forestry Leadership Program. We did a panel there, and Ed was on that panel. Thank you, Ed. We were also at the North Portland Land Use and Transportation Group, Clark County Board of Commissioners, the National Association of Minority Contractors in Oregon, Shumay Neighborhood Association, Faircrest Neighborhood Association, Clark County Development Disabilities Board, City of Vancouver Culture, Arts and Heritage Commission, Freight Forum. We heard some reference to that tonight. Also, thank you, advisory committee members that attended that. Vancouver Neighborhood Alliance, Arnada Neighborhood Association, Bridgeton Neighborhood Annual Meeting. I even have another slide that keeps going on for more. May I trouble you for that one, please? Next slide. Okay. This print is a little bit smaller because I'm really trying to fit them on here. So I'll read through these 2 because it's kind of tiny. Bi-State Legislative Committee, Downtown Stakeholders Forum, Institute of Transportation Engineers, City of Vancouver Parks and Recreation Advisory Commission, Professional Business Development Group, City of Vancouver City Center Redevelopment Authority, JPACT, City of Portland Design Commission, Association of General Contractors, Esther Short Neighborhood Association, Southeast Uplit Neighborhood Coalition, Oregon and Washington Building Trades, Washington Apex Accelerator advising contractor meet and greet, City of Vancouver Planning Commission, Rose Village Neighborhood Association, Clackamas County Business Alliance, City of Vancouver Aviation Advisory Committee, and last but not least, Vancouver Heights Neighborhood Association. So that's what we've been up to since we last met, and we're continuing to go. Our calendars are full all the way up, running up to the end of the comment period. Next slide, please. Thank you. So you've heard a little bit about some of the events that we did during our comment period. So I just wanted to show you some photos. It was pretty exciting, and we did get people from all over in Washington and in Oregon. Here are some photos from our open houses. So you can see the boards that are there. You can see the maps. You can see that people are going through, standing next to the findings and kind of talking through them. It was a pretty neat opportunity, and we had not only did we have our staff that was there, but we also partnered with our community engagement liaisons, and they were really there to support our in-language multilingual outreach, really championing our equitable engagement. So they did recruitment to bring people to open houses, and then really provide live interpretation at the open house to make sure that all information was accessible, in addition to printed materials, but also having conversations with technical experts. May I get the next slide, please? Thank you. So here's a photo right here of some of our community engagement liaisons. Not only were they working to recruit folks to bring them to our open houses and then doing in-person interpretation, but they're also working outside of those events, and they're doing mini information sessions. And these really look all different. They take all different shapes and forms. It really depends on the liaison and the folks that they're working with. Here, you'll see someone in their living room, but some of them are being hosted in person. Some of them are being hosted virtually. All different types of techniques. They're small conversations around 5, maybe 3 to 7 people, keeping it really small. And this is really meant to just bring information to people and make sure they know about the draft document, know where to find all of our materials, all our translated materials, know how to comment. And then, of course, if there are questions, to kind of help navigate where to go to get your questions answered. And if there are questions about the document, how to search it and things like that. May I get the next slide, please? Thank you. So just to wrap up here, in summary, we continue to do tabling events, and I already heard Greg give the call for, if you have an idea of some place you'd like us to be, please tell us. We love being out and about. Advisory committee meetings during the comment period, there were 8 of them. And then our briefings to agencies and neighborhood groups, we're at around 53 right now. Great. Can I get the last slide, please? Thank you. So as we're starting to get closer to the last day to provide your comments, I think we're going to say it 8 times tonight to make sure everybody knows. It's November 18th, so that's Monday, midnight. There's a lot of questions around what happens next. So we have to read all the comments. We'll read all the comments and be working on responding to comments. There's a lot of work that goes into it to do that. We have to coordinate with our federal partners and program staff on those responses. So it's gonna take us a little bit to do that. We won't have the responses to the public comments until the final SEIS is published, and that time frame is around mid to late 2025. But we will be coming back to you in early 2025 with what we're calling an interim public comment summary. So what that's going to be is that's going to look at themes of comments that we've heard. And it won't give our responses to what they are, but it'll give you a good summary, if you will, of what we heard. And so please look forward to that in early 2025, and I'll have a better idea on the exact timing on that, if it's, January, February, maybe next month. So with that, that's the end here, and let's see what questions you have.
Looks like Sam Kim has a question, Hannah.
Okay, great.
I really appreciate the outreach, and this is just.
I can't hear you very well, and I'm seeing Dina maybe is also struggling.
Okay.
Sam, can you either speak up or maybe turn up your volume? Oh, there.
Oh, let's hear you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Wow. And here I was saying something profound, and I totally forgot what it was.
We're ready to hear it.
Hannah, thank you so much. It's just an extensive outreach you've been doing. So after doing so many and maybe hearing the same questions over and over again, can be a kind of a mind-numbing exercise. I imagine for you and the staff, but also, I mean, almost 10,000 pages of the SEIS document. That's almost humanly incomprehensible. Personally, what I would do is I would put it through my chat GPT and have it summarize it for me and kind of do a podcast, and so it can read it to me, what it thought it was and so forth. But anyway, so the body language, the reaction you've been getting, has it been positive, negative, indifferent, or total confusion? Kind of what is your sense of what the public is feeling out there as you do all this outreach?
Oh gosh, I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can answer that. I'll answer what I know, and I'll invite any other staff to jump in here with what they're seeing or hearing. But I would say for me in my work, the questions that I get is, yeah, it is overwhelming. It is, it's a big project. This is a big document there's a lot of work that's been going in it many, many, many years. So there have been a lot of questions about how to navigate the document, where to find things. There's having the tool that's on the website to help search the document has been very helpful, as well as we have gotten quite a few takers for our office hours. So using that opportunity to either come in person or virtually to ask your questions and work with an expert to kind of peruse the document a little bit. So I have been getting a lot of questions around that. Did anyone else want to chime in on any of their reactions? Oh, great.
I'll jump in. So the open house / public hearings, once again, were highly energized. Folks wanted to learn more, and they wanted to know about the active transportation facility. And, some of the conversations started off kind of on a negative bent. But in the end, folks started to understand that we aren't in final design. We are going to have some things that everybody will like about this program. So, but the conversations were, for the most part, positive. The presentations that I've done have been well received, and folks are just looking forward to getting this thing started. And Sam, I think it goes back to something you said early on, get the bridge built.
Yep.
So
exactly right. Thank you.
Don't you just love it when Greg saves the day? Yeah, Sam, I wasn't trying to scoot your question. I just have a hard time summarizing, so many people that we've run into. But I guess just to add on a little bit, thinking about, being out at different farmers markets and talking to different individuals, I hear a lot of questions about light rail. Definitely a lot of interest, people asking about that, and also too about construction. People are really curious about that, and a little bit about tolling. And honestly, I also feel it very positive that there is a desire for the project, and almost like a little bit of a, are you gonna get it done? You know, like a little bit of like we want this, like you're gonna do it, right? So yeah,
Well,
we'll have
so
more
we
of a
just,
full report on what we're hearing and reactions in our engagement summary. So that'll be coming. We kind of wait till the end to do that so that we can kind of look at everything and do a better
right.
job of summarizing.
Yeah, thank you for that. When we met with the Washington State Transportation Commission yesterday and today, they assured us the I-5 bridge tolling will occur because they're the ones who sets the toll. So, all right, thank you for that. I look forward to the summary.
Hi, Dina, I see your hand raised.
Thank you. Yeah, so having done public involvement and engagement for a company in a former life, I can very much appreciate the fact that you guys tried to do this in a way that the comments were due before the holiday season really, kicked off, and people were not going to accuse you of doing it so that it was over the holidays when nobody would be paying attention and have a chance to comment. That said, the navigation impact report alone was 1,100 pages, and the ship simulation report was about 400 pages or so. That's a lot to digest in a 60-day comment period, on top of having a full-time job doing something else normally. And so just hoping that the comments that we made are comprehensive enough to ensure that the needs are met, knowing that I don't really know that we have fully digested what was in that full impacts draft environmental impact statement.
Thanks, Dina.
Other comments or questions? This is a very quiet group, Johnell, you're right. I think it's the quietest we've seen so far in the last 4 years. I would just maybe make another observation about some of the community engagement. In some of the spaces that I was in, the question wasn't, have you heard about this project? The understanding of the project and the timeline and the urgency and need for it existed among the community. And so that, I think, is also really speaks to the centering of equity in our engagement and the importance of making sure that we're meeting folks where they are. So the long list that Hannah mentioned is a snapshot of all the engagement that's being done on this program on a regular basis. So Ed Washington, I see your hand raised. But I can't hear you if you're speaking.
Sorry about that, but it just automatically shuts me off. Maybe it's heard enough from me. But I'm just curious, listening to the enthusiasm that the committee has always had, and Sam in particular, not trying to put him on the spot, but is there a possibility that that some type of film could be made using members of this committee or whoever else they want, where it could be shared with school children, so that you could do something like this, and as it's progressed, just make it available, because teachers a lot of times are always looking for something different and exciting, and kids, I was first thinking it would really be nice to bring the kids to the bridge, but that may be logistically tough. But I'm not picking on Sam, but Sam's got enthusiasm, and if I was a kid, I would listen to Sam because he's excited about this. But I think there's enough people on this committee that if we could, if that's possible, so that we can just give the school kids over the next 3 or 4 or 5 years, just let them know what we're doing. Just a thought. That's all.
So, Ed, I love that idea, to kind of document the processes and the things that that we went through to get this into construction. I think would be a valuable lesson, a history lesson for this region to understand some of the hurdles and some of the difficulties, and then some of the enthusiasm and some of the folks who have truly, like yourself, like Lynn Valenter, like the members of this committee who have helped put shoulder to the wheel to help move this thing. So I like that idea. We can take it back to our public affairs comms team to see what we can get done. But I like it.
Yeah, and I want to make it very clear that I'm not. I'm interested in seeing members of the committee being the ones that take this message out, you know, because I get lots of opportunities to, you know, to say things, but I think with a committee, citizen advisory group, they've done a tremendous job. They've come to a lot of meetings. They should be shared, particularly with kids. They should be shared with the kids and maybe the adults, but kids get excited about these things. They really do. And so that's just a thought. That's all.
Well, I like it. I think it's a great thought, Ed.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Ed. All right, well, we're at public comment period, and we're half an hour before we anticipated we would be at the public comment period. Just want to make sure that I'm giving space for anyone that has any additional questions or comments before we open this up for public comment. Okay, I'm not seeing any. Do we have any folks that have signed up for public comment?
No one at this time.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and go through the what's next slides and provide another reminder about how to access this room if folks are interested in making public comment. So you could advance the slide. We have several upcoming meetings. The Bi-State Tolling Subcommittee, November 15th from 1 to 3 p.m. The Community Advisory Group meeting, so our group, again, December 12th from 4 to 6. The Equity Advisory Group meets December 16th from 5:30 to 7:30. And the Community Benefits Advisory Group meets December 19th from 9:30 to 11:30. Go ahead and go to the next slide. Just a reminder for anyone that might be watching on YouTube and interested in providing feedback, to make a verbal comment, we ask that you either call via phone and dial 1-646-931-3860 or 1-408-638-0968. Our meeting ID is 986-0940-5983, and the passcode is 701376. Go ahead and dial *9 to raise your hand. I will call on you to provide public comment. Dial *6 to unmute yourself. We ask that you provide your name and affiliation, and we'd like to keep public comments within a 10-minute time frame. Next slide. We also have an option, if you'd like to submit comments after the meeting, to go ahead and send an email to info@interstatebridge.org with CAG Public Comment in the subject line, and we will forward any public comments that are received in the inbox to the CAG members 2 days prior to our CAG meeting. You may also call 360-859-0494 in Washington, 503-897-9218 in Oregon, or 888-503-6735 toll free. You can leave a message and just state CAG Public Comment so that we can ensure that our members of our community advisory group receive that public comment directly. Next slide. All right. Just to confirm, Amanda, is there anyone that signed up in the last couple minutes?
Nope, not seeing anyone.
All right. Okay, well, why don't I go ahead and just see if Administrator Johnson, you have anything you might want to add?
No, just want to, once again, thanks to everybody for the time that you're donating to this program. And it's tremendously important for this community, the Portland, Vancouver communities. And it's good work. And we have some important things. We're hopefully going to be around this time inviting you guys to watch a golden shovel be thrust in the ground for the groundbreaking on this program. And once again, this program would not be where it's at without folks like yourselves helping. So once again, just to thank you, and everybody have a great Thanksgiving.
I'm going to bring my own golden shovel.
Johnell, anything you want to add? And then we'll pass it to you, Ed. So get prepared to make those final comments. So Johnell.
Yeah, well, just to build upon Administrator Johnson, over 3 years ago, this body came together around the holiday. And I just want to thank all of you for leaning in with the program. You all have become quite the experts in NEPA, and we're near the end of that road as we head into developing the construction elements. And so just a heart of gratitude for all of your hard work and patience and dedication. So thank you and have a wonderful holiday.
Co-Chair Washington, anything you might want to add? We have to unmute you. I know, I'm sorry.
I'm not trying to ignore you all, but I guess I keep forgetting that my machine automatically mutes me when I leave it. But I just want to say that it's hard to believe that, you know, going on 4 years has passed us by, and I just want to thank everybody for their participation. We've had a lot of meetings, and we've taken a lot of your time, and I know that I can't speak for the citizens, but they should appreciate it, and then they will, and they need to know more about all the time that you all have put in, because you do make a difference. You help make sure that all of the goals and place points are met, and that's wonderful. So I would just like to, I wish you all a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday, and as I would say, just remember to keep on keeping on. That's what we have to do. Okay, thanks so very much.
Thank you all.
Right. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. See you soon.
Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.